Let's start with some keys to victory for both teams in this ball game. Looking at the New Orleans Saints, it's about offensive balance. Last week versus Carolina, we saw Drew Brees only throw the football 29 times. They also ran the football 24 to 25 times. They strike that balance against Miami, they can have a lot of success. Up front, they have to win inside out. They're facing two outstanding defensive tackles in this ball game from the Miami Dolphins, Ndamukong Suh and Jordan Phillips. If they can't protect inside out, then they could struggle. Also on the back end, they have to make plays on the ball. We saw this last week versus Carolina. When there are opportunities to make interceptions, the Saints have to come away with it, and they're facing a quarterback in Jay Cutler that will give them at least 2 to 3 opportunities in a ball game to make a play on the ball, and they have to convert. Moving over to the Dolphins in this ball game, I think they have to get better with their communication in the secondary. Last week versus the New York Jets, you saw a lot of guys running free on crossers and different route combinations. Guys weren't communicating on the back end, which is why they gave up some big plays in the passing game. They have to do a better job this time around against New Orleans. And facing a defense that looks to find a lot of pressure on Jay Cutler, I would put him on the move, switch up that launch pad spot for Cutler. He's an athletic guy, does a great job in throwing well on the run. Put him on the move left to right, and I think they can have a chance to have success in the passing game. But first, they really have to establish the running game. Their running game was non-existent against the New York Jets, and if they can get back to running the football with Jay Ajayi, Damian Williams and company, then they can get back to playing complementary football, well-balanced football, which got them into the playoffs last season. The biggest X factor in this game for the New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, is wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis. Off of play action, the Saints love to work touchdown to check down, and when they go to that intermediate passing game, it's a guy like Tommy Lee Lewis that tends to find himself open. I think he can have some success running over the middle of the field, coming back from the sideline against his Dolphins secondary. And for Miami, the biggest X factor will be that offensive line. I talked about them having to get their ground game going. To be quite honest, they got whipped up front last week against the New York Jets. This is the football team that has a ton of talent up front along the offensive line. And if they can't win those battles in the trenches against a team like the New Orleans Saints, then this offense could struggle. They have to get guys off the ball in the running game, be able to hold their own in pass protection. But this offensive line definitely needs a bounce back performance against the Saints. I like New Orleans in this ball game. I think when you look at the Saints' formula for success last week against Carolina, it was run the football, operate off play action, create turnovers, crowd the line of scrimmage, and stop the run and make the Panthers one-dimensional. I think those things will help them have success against the Miami Dolphins. The Saints' running game has always been there, and I think they have a chance to have success running the football off tackle against this Miami Dolphins defense. In the secondary, look for them to make some plays on the ball and get the ball back in the hands of Drew Brees in that offense.